Okay, welcome to the Daryl
and Ryan
Show.
Yeah, I thought that would be cool. It wasn't. Sorry, people.
So, hey, great news. We were going on the decline with views.
Yeah, we were,
but,
yes.
Hey, we back up to 100 views
Thank
with
you.
our last episode, so
Yep.
groveling does work.
Really does. Yeah, I thought this might be our last episode, and who knows? Maybe we'll go a couple years. No, that's
No,
just kidding.
definitely, we're not going to do that.
If this thing lasts a couple more weeks, I'm going to be thrilled. Hey, I will tell you that I was talking with my family about our declining ratings, and maybe it's time to hang it up. And my grandma said, "No, please keep making episodes. I love it." So, Doey, I love you. Thank you for watching.
I'm glad she's enjoying this. So on Sunday, this previous Sunday, we had a holiday.
Yes.
We had Mother's Day.
We did.
And I know I saw some of your Facebook posts, Ryan.
Yeah.
They were really great, just celebrating Laura and everything. So how did you spend your Mother's Day?
Yeah, we kind of made it into a weekend. We spread it out. So we saw my family, my mom, on Saturday. What? I don't even remember. Oh, we went to their house. Let's try that again. I need coffee. Let's try it again. Yeah, we spread it out throughout the weekend. We went to see my mom on Saturday and spent some time with her and my side of the family. And on Sunday, my wife's family came over and spent some time together. And then this was my wife's first my wife's first, oh my goodness. This was Laura's first Mother's Day since we had Charlie. We had Charlie a little bit after Mother's Day last year. So it was really cool. Sunday morning, I came down and I had some flowers for her and a card, and I gave the flowers and card to Charlie to give to her, which is pretty cool.
And how Charlie do with that? Did he succeed in that job, that one job?
No, he threw the card. He threw the card on the floor and tried to eat the flowers.
Oh, okay, to be fair to him, all of his toys are on the floor.
That's
right?
true.
So
Yep.
for him, he threw the card on the ground as an act of love.
Yep.
Because that's where all of his toys are. So he wanted
a good point.
Laura to experience
play on the floor with him,
his world.
Yeah, well, we're finding too. I guess he turns one. Actually, today, if you're watching this on Thursday, it's his first birthday, and we're finding that at this age they just like to throw stuff and see what happens. We actually started playing catch. It's been a lot of fun.
Yeah.
I go down the steps and Charlie throws a ball to me, and I hand it back to him, and he throws it to me. Okay. I've actually created a point system.
Yeah, a point system.
If he can get the ball past me, he gets a point, and if I catch it, I get a point. It's pretty competitive.
But hey, I want you to know this: baseball season's going to start in July.
Hey,
you
all
might
right.
get a little arm on him. You might want instant scholarship right there.
All right, let's work on it.
Yeah, let's definitely work on that.
Yeah.
So, how did I spend my Mother's Day?
Do you want me to ask you that?
You could ask. Go ahead.
So, Daryl, how did you spend your Mother's Day?
Okay, so, my family, they're in Virginia. My mom, she's out in California. So, I made phone calls to my stepmom, made phone calls to my mom, talked with my grandma, so that was all fun. But the highlight of all of that doesn't involve my mom at all. So I got invited to lunch by someone from the church. They invited me over, and there was this mock game of Ultimate Frisbee taking place. Just few people, and I couldn't throw a Frisbee to save my life. It was horrible. Actually, no one could throw a Frisbee to save their lives there. And afterwards, someone that was at the house, they invited me to go on a hike, and I knew I should have said no. It was
always
horrible.
Say no.
Yeah. And here's the reason why. They invited me to go rattlesnake hunting.
Gee.
Let that thought sink in right there.
That's amazing.
Of all the people I'm the one that got invited to go hunt for rattlesnakes, and me being a moron, my brain was saying, say no, say no, say no, but it came out as, yeah, I'll go.
I can't believe this.
I can't believe it, and I lived through it. So, we're driving up to like Lockwood Mountain. It's what it's called, right? Lockwood Mountain.
Lock Mountain?
Yeah, Lock Mountain.
He doesn't even know where it was.
I don't even know where. Yeah,
I'm glad they brought you back.
I'm glad I came back. So, we drove up to the top of Lock Mountain. I didn't even know you could drive up to the top of Lock Mountain.
Yeah.
And we go out and we're walking through the woods, and this guy's leaving me behind because he's tall like Ryan, and the gait of his walk it's really good. His legs are faster than mine because I'm short, and I was built more for a cubicle and this guy this guy was built for hiking and everything.
We all have our gifts.
So he's like leaving me behind. I'm feeling stranded in the woods, and we finally get to this location. There's like all these rocks everywhere, and the guy's like, "Hey, come walk on these rocks, because you see the snakes, they stay in the holes." And my mind, I'm thinking, no, say no, say no, say no. But once again, it came out as, yeah, I'll follow you. I'm thinking, this is so stupid, and we're walking on these rocks where there's possible rattlesnakes and everything, and I'm stumbling and falling, and I'm really paranoid at this point, freaking out a little bit. By the grace of God, we did not see any rattlesnakes that day.
It wasn't the point hunting for rattlesnakes?
No, the whole point was me trying to get out of there.
You failed.
Whatever you call failure. Hey, in the eye of the beholder, that was a success for me. And in fact, the only wildlife we saw is when we came back from the mountain, went to his home, and there was a chipmunk outside. That's the only wildlife I saw all day was a chipmunk outside this guy's house back in civilization.
That's awesome.
So, hopefully you had a good Mother's Day. And
hey, before we move on, I'd like to find out from our very own videographer, Pastor Brant, what did you do for Mother's Day? Let me set up the iPhone camera. And Pastor Brant, what did you do for your Mother's Day?
Yes, I was with my mom and my family at my brother's house, and we had dinner together, and we sat out on the patio when it got warmer, and we had a little fire out there, so that was pretty cool.
Nice. Any rattlesnakes?
There were no rattlesnakes, but there are snakes up on Lock Mountain. I can attest to that.
All right, well, however you spent your Mother's Day, hopefully it was a good one, and hopefully it didn't involve rattlesnakes.
That's right. So this week we have a special guest coming on to the show. Do you want to talk about him a little bit?
Yeah. He's one of the juniors in our youth group over at Martinsburg Grace Brethren Church. His name is Caleb Barnett. He's doing a lot of just really creative things through social media, and we just thought it'd be great to have him share some of the things he's doing, and hopefully hearing his story will encourage you to do something positive as well.
So here's our interview with Caleb.
All right, we're here with Caleb Barnett.
Okay.
Caleb is from our youth group at the church, and he also runs a social media page that we want to talk about.
Yeah, so that whole idea of this whole social media page that you're actually marketing it right now, right, Caleb?
Yeah, always, right? Try to put it out there wherever you can.
Yeah, so what's it called?
It's called No Tuesday Wasted.
Yeah.
And a couple reasons for that. But one is not wasting time is the main one. And lots of people with this name feel like, oh, it's only Tuesdays or whatever, but it's actually about not wasting time and making the most of the little short time we have on this earth.
Mid-interview, Caleb switched spots because of the internet. So we ask him a question, we'll ask him again. Daryl, ask the question.
All right, so why Tuesday? Why no Tuesday wasted? Because you could do no Monday, no Friday, no Thursday. I'm sure there's a story why you said no Tuesday wasted.
I think like most things, it just started, and you don't really plan on something. You don't really plan on starting something all the time, like your show or whatever. It started with my brother in Virginia, I think, and my sister in Florida, and I was here. And it was kind of a way that we just put it on our Instagram stories, which is a short, clip that everyone can see. A way we were making the most, making something to make a difference or do something cool.
All right. To make a difference, to do something cool, and I think that's just really encouraging. So this whole idea of no Tuesday wasted, not wasting time, well, like what's the heart behind that? Like what do your posts, what do they normally have in your posts for people who might not know anything about it?
Yeah, so hopefully something inspiring, something encouraging, make someone's day better. We're only on Instagram right now, which is more of a younger person's social media, further away from Facebook and other things. But you can Google it and it will come up. Top thing is our Instagram page, and you can see our posts without having an account, I believe. But I think that the reason. What was your question? I lost it. I forgot
What
it.
type of stories? I see
Oh,
your
okay.
attention
So
span is amazing.
Hey,
yeah,
Instagram generation.
yeah. So something encouraging, something about someone doing something and not letting the situation that life puts them with have the final say. Not being a victim and making the most of something, making something that was not a good situation into something good.
Okay.
And I think
Yeah.
no, go.
Not like so taking negatives and finding the positives within that.
Yeah.
Am I right?
And I think, yeah, and I think that's one reason that we definitely started with Instagram too. Most people know have an Instagram from the age of 24 to 14 or whatever you pick. Most people have it, and it's kind of violent. Not that people are a lot mean to that, just because you sit there and you look at other people's life and how perfect it is, you can get discouraged and down on yourself. So giving something, someone to look at that will lift them up and realize, hey, I can go do something else. I don't have to sit here. I can go make a difference is a goal that we like to have.
No, that's great. Empowering people to be a force of good in this world. So I do have a question for you. Because you said, Instagram was for younger people. Are you calling me and Ryan old?
I am. What do you say, Ryan?
I have Instagram.
Yeah. I think that working on a Facebook page, and so not that I feel like more people use it when they're younger. Lots of people have Instagram, but I was watching Elon Musk the other day. He's in the news a lot right now, but even he pointed out how Instagram is just one of the easiest social medias to not enjoy, to feel self-deprecating and stuff like that with, just because it's not like Facebook where you normally type out a post or have a reason to post. It's like, oh, look how cool my life is, and post it. But no, I think the majority of users are younger, but I would definitely go that under 30 and under is definitely probably almost the oldest it is for most people.
Okay, so I'm old.
Me too.
That's why I got it out in that roundabout answer. Caleb called us old, but hey, what we really enjoy about you, Caleb, you're young, you're having an impact in your generation. You're trying to take the tools that are given to you, and you're doing the most with them. And we really encourage you in doing those things. So I know we're proud of everything you're doing.
Hey, thank you. This is a lot of fun.
So go ahead, Caleb.
No, you're good.
I was just gonna say, so how can people find you, and how can people? It's not just you and like your siblings that pop up on that account anymore, right? There's some other people that are involved.
Yeah. So we have one of my brother's wife, her younger brother, who is my friend, and he helps me. He's in Wisconsin, and then some people in Lynchburg, Virginia, where Liberty is, where you went to school, Pastor Daryl, and just a little bit here and there. So his name's Nolan Paul, a big help, and then a little bit from my siblings, a little bit from my brother's fiance, and stuff like that. And so I think just coming together, and it's kind of cool to do something that I know, like, it's not big and it's difficult to do and succeed in, as you guys are finding out with your show here. But starting a following is hard, but it's a lot of work, and it's discouraging and can be a grind. But when you're making an impact, it's worth it.
Yeah, and you're definitely making an impact. Ryan, I'm not sure if you have any more questions, but if you don't, I want to say, Caleb, thank you for being, I guess, our second guest on our show. And
third. We had Brand. We had Brant.
Oh
and
yeah,
my
your mom. Yeah, I
Yeah.
forgot. Yeah, you're our third guest on our show. We want to say thank you for doing that. And once again, we support you with No Tuesday Wasted. And if you're watching this, please follow No Tuesday Wasted on Instagram.
Hey, thanks for having me. This is my first talk show appearance, my first show appearance. So it's big. And your third guest. So
Yeah.
I really enjoyed it.
And hey, even though we're old guys, we'll still take a couple of T-shirts from you.
That'd be great.
That'd be great.
Okay. Yeah. I'll get them to you next time we're out of quarantine.
Sounds good.
Sounds good.
All right. Thanks, Caleb.
All right, bye.
No. All right. Thanks, guys. See you later.
Hopefully you enjoyed that interview with Caleb.
I know I did.
Great. But guess what? That's not the only interview we have for this week, Ryan.
What?
I lied.
I'm so surprised.
Yeah. So anyways, Ryan interviewed me last week, and you heard just my testimony struggling with doubt and how I came through that to just find my relationship with Christ. So this week we're going to hear Ryan's story. Shocked face. He had no idea this was happening. He knows. But you're going to hear Ryan's story, how he came to Christ and how that's played out in his life. So Ryan,
Yeah.
Let's go. What do you want to share first with people who are watching?
We'll go early on. I mean, you shared about, your salvation experience happened, older towards the end of high school.
Yeah.
I got saved as young as I can remember. I was probably 5 or 6. I grew up in a very active Christian home. My parents were and still very are actively involved in ministry.
They are lovely people.
Yeah, I love them.
Yeah.
Hi, Mom and Dad. Dad, do you watch this? I don't know. Anyway, yeah. So I grew up in a really good, active Christian family. I knew the gospel from a young age, and I responded to it. And I had a fairly easy-ish life growing up. Fantastic family to live in. Great church family that I really enjoyed being with. And it wasn't probably till junior high I really started to take it seriously and really grasp onto the tangible things that God would have me to do and to learn and interact with others. Started leading worship around 15 or 16 at church, and my parents had led worship since I was a little kid, so I've always been around music. And
is that why you exposed Charlie to music right now?
That's why I really hope Charlie starts leading worship when he's like 5. I don't know. I try to get music around, but that's what my parents did. My dad had all the instruments at the house, and at the time I played drums and a little bit of piano. When I was younger, no guitar, nothing else. And my dad had guitars in the house. Nobody played them. And I'd say, Dad, why do you have all these instruments? And he said, you'll play them. I'm like, yeah, okay. And I learned how to play all of them eventually by the grace of God, which is really cool.
Good.
So they obviously encouraged that a lot. So the whole way through high school and into college, I didn't really hit any big, travesties in my life. Got involved with a really good Christian group at Penn State Altoona called SALT, led worship there, and was involved in their leadership team. And it's actually kind of crazy. A lot of the stuff I do now at the church, like where we work here at the church, a lot of stuff I do now is stuff that I learned just doing it in college, kind of experimenting through our ministry.
Level, like God's hand has been on your entire life. And you can look back now and say, okay, this is what God was doing back then to prepare me for what you're doing now.
Yeah. So fast forward, I'd finished college. I started to work full-time afterwards for the company where my dad worked for a long time. I was able to get some work there. And we were doing, we had youth group, and at the time we were taking turns as youth leaders sharing testimonies. So this Wednesday night at our youth leader meeting, I shared my testimony pretty much to the exact same point where I just shared it now. But I finished with saying, I don't know what God has for me next. I don't know what he wants me to do necessarily in the long term, but I have to trust him and believe that he's going to lead me. And the very next day I was diagnosed with cancer, which is unbelievable. I was 23 years old, and I'd found these lumps on my neck. Didn't think it was a big deal. Really didn't think. I mean, I'd never imagined that diagnosis. Yeah.
I mean, I'm thinking that would be hard for anyone.
Yeah.
But especially you being 23.
Right.
At that time, getting hit with a cancer diagnosis. So, how long did you have to battle with cancer?
Yeah. Or maybe I was 22. Now I can't remember. Anyway, it was a 6-month ordeal with. I don't know how early it had started, but by the time we caught it till I did chemo and got through treatments, it was 6 months. And yeah, so it was pretty rough. I mean, the chemo, if you've ever experienced chemotherapy, you know that takes a toll on your body. They're killing the good stuff along with the bad. And as we talked about a couple episodes ago, I'm a pretty squeamish person. So when I'd be in the room getting treatment, I looked like the worst patient there. There were a lot of people there that were, in far worse shape than I was. I was young, I was healthy, I was going to recover. That was never really in doubt. But it really took a physical toll on me. So at that point, we talk about how God prepares us for situations, even that we don't foresee. I didn't foresee that, but because of this foundation I had in my faith in Christ, my faith didn't take a hit that maybe, other 20-something-year-olds would have had during that time.
So let's kind of talk about that whole time frame, those 6 months. So there's a place that's really special to you in your life, and hopefully you know where I'm going with this.
Chuck E. Cheese. No, I'm just kidding.
Okay, I was definitely not. That's a special place in my life too.
I know where you're going. Sorry.
Yeah. So let's talk about this special place that you were at when all this was happening. Where was that place, and how did that affect you?
The special place is Camp Manawagan, and earlier, a couple weeks prior to the start of camp, I'd been asked if I could come in and lead worship for the entire senior high week, and we'd never done that before. We had teams come in before, but we were going to try to do things in-house. And at the time I was like, well, I don't know. I'm not sure if I'm going to be able to make it. I have work, and all this stuff happened. And through a variety of circumstances related to my cancer, I was able to get off work and spend, outside of my treatments, a solid month at camp. And that was super special. I remember getting up at the campfire at the end of the week, and I was there as a leader, saying this was one of the best weeks of my life. And I was sick. I was real sick. I mean, I'd lead worship in chapel, and then I would just be sick and have to sleep or recover until the next chapel. But it was such a special time, and I look back on that as one of my favorite summers. Even thinking of Brant's behind the camera, that's whenever Brant and I really got to connect. We didn't want me being in a cabin with with kids that might be sick because my immune system was low. So Brant and I bunked up, and those were some really special times looking back on that, being able to connect like that. So I'm thankful for that experience.
And this whole history of you still being squeamish, right? Camp was really good, but there's one meal at camp you still can't eat to this day.
Yeah,
am I right?
It's wild, man. It's the steak sandwiches, and I like steak. I like steak sandwiches, but for years I couldn't put my finger on this. The first day of camp, first lunch is always this steak sandwich, and I take a bite and I kind of gag on it, and I realized that it would have been the first meal that I ate after my first treatment way back in 2011, and at that point I really was struggling to keep food down. So to this day, it's I laugh about it, and I usually just grab something else to eat, and it's not a big deal. But the steak sandwiches at camp, I can't do it.
So hey, for everyone who's watching this, if you want to help Ryan get over his squeamishness, send a steak sandwich over to his house. Right. He'll appreciate it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, so it was the biggest hit that I'd taken in my life to that point. And music played such a big role in kind of pulling me out of that and pulling me through that. For sure.
So almost using music was a way to just remind yourself of God's goodness in that way. Like for me, it's like reading something over and over again. For you, playing a song and listening to it. That just took you to a really good place. In all of this. Correct.
Yep. Yeah. And learning that about myself helped me years forward in the future. A couple years ago, Laura and I suffered a miscarriage. We lost the first pregnancy that we had before Charlie was born. And that personally, I took that way harder than the cancer. The cancer, I think it was hard for the people around me. But for me, I felt like I maybe was able to push through that a little bit more. This miscarriage really it hit me hard. Laura and I were both devastated. I didn't know how to help her. I didn't know how to help myself. I got really depressed. And looking back at that, music played such a huge role in that. I'll spare all the details, but basically, months after that happened, I'm still kind of going up and down and hiding it from a lot of people, hiding how I was feeling. And just as a sidebar, don't do that. That's not healthy. That's not helpful. eventually, Laura knew what was going on. Eventually I started opening up to you more, and I found myself in Las Vegas. I didn't find myself there. We had traveled there to visit my sister-in-law. I didn't just all of a sudden end up in Vegas. And the family, the Smiths, were going to go for a hike, and I was like, or out to a park, and I thought, I can't go anymore. So I stayed home, and we were getting close to camp time. And at that point now, ever since that cancer year in 2011, I've led worship at camp every year since then. I knew I had to work on the camp music, even though I didn't feel like it. And I just listened to the songs were about hope that year. Our theme was Bold Hope. And I remember listening to this song, I Have This Hope by 10th Avenue North on repeat, laying in a hammock in some random rental house in Vegas. And that's really how God started to bring me out of this depression, was through worshiping him through music. It was really cool how he used that. It was really powerful.
So hopefully, you heard my testimony going through doubt and everything. I had to do a lot of just research and just go through a lot of just mental things to get where I'm at with Christ. And with Ryan, you just saw, he went through just traumatic things in his life, and God used music to reach him. There is this whole idea that you do have a personal relationship with God, with Jesus, and through that personal relationship, God reaches us in different ways. So I think, both me and Ryan would encourage you, hopefully he'll speak for himself, find the way you connect with God, and dig deep into that, and allow God to work on your heart, to shape you, to mold you, because God really wants to do that. And this whole idea, you heard from Caleb today, trying to encourage people to do positive things, be a force of good in this world. Our faith is personal, but it's not meant to be private.
Yeah.
So hopefully you have a personal faith with Jesus, but it's not private, and you're using whatever you can to connect people with him in a meaningful way. I
will concur. I think that means agree. I don't really know.
That's all he does. I read books. He does music. I have no idea what an E sharp is. There an E sharp? Is there?
Yeah, but it's known as F.
Whatever. See, once again, personal relationship. God connects with all of us in different ways.
That's
Find
right.
the ways he connects with you.
Yep.
Hey, it's been fun today. We're going to probably say goodbye. So this is goodbye from the Daryl
and Ryan
Show.